what has happened with a project that I wrote a book on some time ago, Angels Don't Play This Harp, about the HAARP project. It was designed to do many things. As a side effect or a deliberate effect, this can happen. The fact is they generate the right kind of signal in the right range to override brain function. If you think about affecting the brain by analogy, similarly to dialing a radio station. When you dial through the radio station, most of the energy is static. You're static between the stations. When you get on station, you get resonance, harmony between the transmitter and receiver, and get a nice clear signal. The same is true in the human body and the human brain.
What do I do?
Why, just what you have been doing. Obey the rules of the game and be a good loser. Bye now.
In psychology, this is something we call conditioning. Conditioning is the process in which you create an automatic stimulus response in a person or an animal.
Can pigeons read? This one gives every indication, because it's been taught to distinguish between two words and to behave appropriately.
Nuclear weapons.
Nuclear weapons.
Poison gas. Torture chambers. Mass graves.
Deadly technologies.
Radical ideology of hate.
Terror of threats.
Terror.
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 It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow.
The behavioral techniques used by psychologists are much like training a dog, to reward what they consider good behavior and punish what they consider bad behavior. These techniques aren't designed to give you control of yourself. They're designed to work on a stimulus-response basis.
Terrorists. 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 Terrorists.
Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists.
Terrorists.
Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists.
I would define opera conditioning as shaping and maintaining behavior by making sure that reinforcing consequences.
And danger. Continuing danger. Hour of danger. Very, very dangerous world.
A grave new threat.
Horrific acts of atrocities. Murderous regimes dedicating to killing us. Tyranny and terror. Slaughtered thousands.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Dropouts or half-baked intellectuals are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them.
John Watson had an experiment called Baby Albert. He took the baby and showed him a white rat. When the rat would appear, he would then begin to make loud noises behind the baby to scare him. Eventually, the baby associated the white rat with a scary experience. Not only was Baby Albert afraid of the rat, but he was afraid of anything that was furry. In psychology, we call that generalization.
Threats.
Terror.
Terror.
Terror. War on terrorism.
War against terrorism.
Global war on terror.
Global terrorism. Global terrorism.
You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern.
Terrorism. 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 The evil terrorists.
You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black. You still cannot change the basic perception and the logical behavior.
Terrorists. 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 Terrorists.
Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists.
Terrorists.
Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists. Terrorists.
So you've probably seen the movie Clockwork Orange. Well, if you haven't, you should see it. But in this movie, they take a guy, they strap him down, force his eyelids open, give him drugs to make him sick, and make him watch pornography and violence. And you probably think this is science fiction, but it's really an example of aversion therapy.
Now, as Charlie Sheen ranting like a lunatic about the September 11th attacks, now word comes that...
Want to know what I was doing?
Shut up.
Please don't tell me to shut up.
As respect. Why did you have to tell him you were an atheist if you didn't have any trouble reading the oath? Why didn't you just shut up? What Jimmy Carter should do is privately give Mr. Bush his opinion and shut up publicly. That would be best for the country. And it is our duty as loyal Americans to shut up once the fighting begins. Once the war against Saddam begins, we expect every American to support our military, and if they can't do that, to shut up.